Wow. Before we begin, we'd like to say thank you. Express the utmost gratitude to those who come for us, to those who come before us, to those who come behind us, to those who come all around, above and below us, all frequencies, friends, foes, vibrations, angels, aliens, here in harmony, contributing to this cosmic dance that we call life. Your presence is appreciated. And so we begin. Multi-dimension. Oh, yo, I almost didn't even see you there. I've been way too cranial, smoking a lot of cannabis. It's okay, we're finding the balance. Okay, yay, wow, so glad that you're here. Because we've got very important topics to discuss today on Zen's Unpopular Opinions, episode number 6. Episode number 6, let's get it. You are so much more than your vessel, than your story, than the timeline which you currently experience this reality. We are multidimensional beings. And sometimes there's so much going on at once that we limit ourselves from this experience of realizing that we exist on many planes of existence at one time. To keep this video succinct and sort of on point, we're only going to discuss through 9 dimensions today, 1 through 9. 1, 2, 3 being the base, or the body, the animalistic dimension, what we experience as current reality through. We have then 4, 5, 6, the middle range, which was then stepping out the more ethereal aspects of this earth realm, still non-material, but still in correlation with this plane of existence. Thinking of like the heavens or like the ether, this would be that space.
Why am I rushing myself?
And then 7, 8, 9, and these are the dimensions outside of time, outside of space. They are like the higher up aspects. I guess you could call like, we're not even gonna put names to it, just the higher, above the metaphysical aspects of this realm that we experience physically through. Then there's metaphysical, and then there's, I don't know, super meta-metaphysical, hyper-metaphysical, whatever you want to call it. You know, words are super silly and they can never actually describe what it is that we wish to communicate. But we do our best, and that's kind of the fun about it. It's like we're putting together a puzzle every single time we string a sentence with the words. All right, into it. I like to break down these planes of existence like music, as music is everything. Everything is vibration, everything is sound, everything is frequency and vibration moving together, creating this experience. Thus, it can be music. And so that's why I broke it down into the bass, the body, the bass, then the middle range, and then soprano, like the high. Yeah. Falsetto is like not real soprano, so you know. Anyway, getting into it. Everything is music, so we're going to start right here at the bottom, at the base. The base level of existence is first dimension, second dimension, third dimension. First dimension is essentially the space in which the sperm is penetrating the egg, like that activity where semen is now attempting to fertilize an egg, but it hasn't been fertilized yet. It's like that process of union coming together. And as soon as that egg has become fertilized, the sperm has attached itself to the egg and they merge into one zygote, start to formulate into a fetus. That is second dimension. Second dimension is survival. It's sustenance. Second dimension is maintaining. It's all about, so now that the life has been created, number one was all the cosmic soup goodness, the context of the creation. Number two is then now preserving the creation. So as soon as the creation has been created, now must preserve it. So number two is animalistic tendencies. It's only focused on basically like fighting, fucking, and feasting. And those only three will then allow that species to continue. It's just like very basic animalistic necessity of procreating and surviving. Then we move into the third dimension, and the third dimension is what we operate through this reality. This is our ego. The third dimension is, we live in a third dimensional space because we can measure things by multiple dimensions, like height, width, depth. That's how we currently experience this reality from what I'm aware. On the digital screen, this is the second dimension, so we'll get back to that in a later. Third dimension is the ego. The ego body, it is your personality. It's your I, me, my story. It's who you tell yourself that you are on the day-to-day. Ego is all about desire. The third dimension is all about bodily and worldly desires, because when you choose to inhabit a body, you have desires, you have missions to accomplish, you have karma to clear, to experience this life, to drink the juice. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Stay on the bus. Yes, so third dimension is about this. It's about maintaining your sense of identity, but it's not necessarily being considerate of those around you. And that's why it's super dense, because it's very solo. It's very, I guess you could say myopic. Like it's not a very broad perspective. It's very like blinders on, like what am I focused on for myself, doing my thing. And a lot of us operate in these two spaces, second and third, like because the way that our system is currently set up, most people find it like it's very difficult for a lot of people to be able to meet their basic requirements simply. And that causes an immense amount of stress, and that traps people in the second, which is survival, second dimension, and third dimension, which is the I, me, my story, building your personality, your persona, your brand. That is why third dimension also works with your status and your reputation. It's all about how you present yourself to the world. And that's okay. Like, I think people often, like, when they start the spiritual path, they're like, oh, I gotta kill my ego. Like, I can't have an ego. I'm here to be a spiritual person, and spiritual people don't have egos. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that a big part of choosing to be human on planet Earth right now is to experience humanly desires. And it's how we go about it. It's not what we do, it's how we do it. And so it's how we then interact with those desires and go about them. And can we experience them from a space of purest intention? And that's why it's so crucial to recall this, that it's not shame to have desires, but a lot of the culture kind of moves from a shame space because so much conditioning, and that's basically like really what this layer is all about. It's like the very basic conditioning of the human experience. And so once we're able to meet these basic terms and conditions of sustaining our survival and having a good sense of ourself, understanding our ego, whether it's balanced or not, we're always learning. Definitely still learning how to balance my ego. As you begin to broaden your perspective, once you have a solid understanding, you're surviving. You have a solid knowing of yourself. You can begin to broaden your perspective and shift into the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension, people say, is time. I'm saying that fourth dimension is recognizing that you're not alone. It's seeing each other heart to heart, eye to eye, understanding that we all are experiencing life on Earth in this densest butts place, this densest rock. As you begin to broaden your perspective and you understand who you are, you have a solid understanding of identity, and your survival necessities are being met, your perspective can begin to expand. So as you expand your perception, you recognize that the fellow humans and all life on this planet has this, like, it is also experiencing life, and life it's not easy. We make the most of it. I mean, we enjoy the most of it. I think a big part of my life is to enjoy this life. That's a big part of my karmic mission, and learning how to be silly and sincere at the same time is key for me. I can only speak for myself, and I like to encourage joy within those around me. So that's how I wish to experience this. That being said, so yes, fourth dimensional energy is understanding that we are experiencing this together in a coexistent state, so we can see each other eye to eye, heart to heart, and that kind of just like alleviates a little bit of the weight of the experience, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you have people that you can reflect, mirrors that you can communicate with, who can also bounce ideas and information, relay it, and help assist in the process, because we're all processing this information together. um, yeah, that being said, once we establish that, we recognize we can see each other heart to heart, because that doesn't take long to link. That's like the very step bridge. And some people are saying that Earth Realm is moving into the fourth dimensional frequency, and because Earth Realm has moved into fourth dimension, it's now requiring the life forms on this planet to also increase and harmonize their frequency from the third dimensional to the fourth dimensional, which is when people say like the Great Awakening. But you, from fourth dimension, as soon as you get that and you can recognize that you see each other heart to heart, eye to eye, that's when you can start really working and doing the mission. And that is then building your team and using your tools and utilizing these two aspects of life in order to thusly co-create. And that is how you can sustain and sculpt systems. So that is how we then begin to craft entire realities, just like the one that we're experiencing now. Some beings coming together, agreeing on some ideas, and then getting the work done. I think a lot of you know how that work is done, for the most part, from what we've seen. And I think that you probably don't have any clue actually how it's done, because history leaves out a lot of key details, it seems, as I begin to learn more about the story. We're learning. Do your research. It's crucial. As we get that fifth dimensional energy going, so that's where like we're moving now. Like that is the exemplary teamwork is the dream work. That is, as soon as you have a solid understanding of who you are, and then you can recognize that other beings are also experiencing life together, you stay true to yourself, your survival needs are being met. You stay in that space, you're going to begin to create a vortex around yourself, will then attract your team. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Fun fact, as a person embodying a white dude, you could say, I'm triggered at the word tribe, because where the fuck does that word come from? I honestly don't know, and I can only imagine that the people who crafted this language have only perverted and adulterated it, like most of the things that have done on this land thus far. So I'm gonna look for a new rhyme to describe the same thing. We'll get to that later. I had to be said. So once we've established these systems and structures together, then this is how we can begin to exercise these systems and structures. And that by exercising them, we maintain them. So it's like tapping into a new muscle. When you're fifth dimensional, you're just getting started. Sixth dimensional is working it out on a consistent basis. By working it out, you're establishing it. You're building momentum, you're building inertia. So sixth dimensional energy is all about maintaining and cultivating the space to create a specific momentum. However you wish to direct it is up to you and your team. And however that team looks to you is a part of your unique experience in a body at this point in time. So that's pretty dope. So once you have your basic needs met, you have a solid understanding of who you are. Well, first you're created, then you have your basic needs met, then you have a solid understanding of who you are. Then you can move into a timeless space where you can connect heart to heart, eye to eye. Then you can connect to the fifth dimension, build together, share space, see past your flaws and faults, see each other unconditionally, stay present, hold each other accountable, and create new systems and structures. That's what we're doing right now on this planet as I speak, as you listen, as you maybe speak too, and as I listen. It's cool. Mutual, symbiotic. That's what we came here to do. That's what fifth dimensional energy is truly about, and sixth dimensional energy is maintaining that. So that's what we're doing. We're maintaining that energy. We're working out these new muscles. We're getting it going. We're building these momentum to the point where it essentially creates a system within itself. The vortex is going, it's going, and finally it lets go, and you now have a hurricane. It's a storm in itself. It's not just some random gust circulating. So now you have a really strong motion to the point where it starts to transfer into seventh dimensional. The vibration of the atom to the point where it is now transparent, translucent, outside of time and space. How like atoms can be in multiple places at once. They can move, they move at light speed. So seventh dimensional is now we're stepping into the higher tier, the soprano realm, the highest vocal setting. And this is the spirit or soul. The soul more so, as I'm beginning to understand in my personal relationship, I see it as spirit being the entirety, essence of life. In regards to Hinduism, they call him Brahman, the creator. Then the Atman would be your soul, which is your personal connection to the creation essence. And that is then the Atman channels into your mind, your middle body, your fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional experience. And then the mind translates that information into your body, your first, second, and third dimensional experience. So now that we are in seventh dimensional energy, we are tapping into the spirit space, the ethereal realm. Higher levels of consciousness is like where your guides exist. Higher levels of consciousness, greater still perception. The seventh I envision as being like walking on a balance beam, a razor's edge, in a space where you can see between the physical and the material aspects of reality. And the seventh dimensional energy is building the bridge, your connection from your soul space, your spirit, your imagination, into your physical reality by first moving through sixth dimension, fifth, fourth, third, 2, 1. And the information is moving up and down simultaneously. Your sushumna, your column, your spine, is your great antenna to whatever you're tuning into. So that's why it's also so crucial to recognize what frequencies you're tuning into. So if you're tuning into this today, shouts out you. Thanks for being here. It's fun. We're doing good things. I mean, we're doing our best. Yeah. Who am I to say what's good or bad? Learning not to judge is a cool part about being in seventh dimensional energy, fifth dimensional energy, sixth dimensional energy, non-judgment, non-attachment, being present, being forgiving, but not being forgetful, remembering. So in the seventh dimensional energy, this is your timeless essence. This is like the fabric of reality. This is like standing on your balance beam. When you look into the sixth dimension, you're now able to see Indra's net, the web that creates this material existence. You can see the matrix code is basically the DNA script that makes up this organism that we call life. Because just as we have microorganisms that live on us, We are microorganisms living on higher dimensional beings. So once we understand this, we see the balance. We want to continue our ascension process, then we can jump in to the 8th dimension. 8th dimension being the divine dance floor. This is the space for the lovers to meet. It's not the lovers themselves, it's the space that holds them. This is a space that has no time. This is the eternal. And this is like kind of like the space, the rumination, the seated state, right before you sprout, right before. This is all the juice, this is all the passion, this is the foreplay space happening. The infinite. And then once to come into this space and link and bond, the masculine, the feminine, the yin, the yang. That is how we then have 9th dimensional energy. 9th dimensional energy is the cosmic union between the yin and yang, the interweaving of these two poles of one coming back together in union. This is cosmic union, this is sacred sex, this is the bliss of being. This is the essence of the Creator. It moves through each and every one of us. And it's one of the most invigorating vibrations I can imagine, I can experience. I feel it pulsing, moving, coursing through my skin. What does it feel like to exude gratitude? I can only imagine that's a taste, a very, very tiny sample of what 9th dimensional energy is. And then, as these lovers are dancing on this divine dance floor, it becomes consummated. The union is bridged, and this is how we move into higher dimensions, even dimensions that we cannot even begin to imagine, that look nothing like this one. It might be similar to some degree, as above, so below, though, you know, it's unfathomable outside of the 9th dimensional, the octave. It just jumps up an octave. So as soon as those two link, boom, go right back to the 1 dimension, higher octave. And it just keeps going in both directions. And it creates a big ass circle. Throw that ass in a circle. That's what I'm talking about. What circle? What kind? I'm gonna go counterclockwise. I never was a fan of clocks. Time to break those shits in half. Yeah, so this is the stuff. This is what I've been on lately, just really pondering these concepts and sitting with these ideas and ideologies. And I saw this video online the other day after I was like plotting this all out and drawing it here that said, your shadow is your 2nd dimension, or your shadow. I was watching a video the other day and it said your shadow is 2-dimensional. Just like the screen in front of you is 2-dimensional. The shadow is 2-dimensional. That means it has no depth. Thus, but at the same time, it is like an expression of us. It moves in accordance, and it's the way the light bounces off us, the shadow exists. So if we're a 3-dimensional being, the shadow is the 2-dimensional aspect of ourself. Does that mean there's a 4-dimensional being with a higher light being cast onto that, and we're the shadow of that 4th dimensional being? And on and on and on, and as above, so below. So it goes. Who knows? That's up for you to decide. So yeah, what do you think about this? This is fun stuff. I'm not really attached to this information. It was just kind of siphoning through me, and I felt like articulating it in artistic fashion, and wanted to put this out here because I think it's important stuff. Because this, I feel like having this level of perspective will allow you to navigate these waters from a greater field of vision, and that's essential because shit's chaotic out here, and the calm of the storm is in the center. May you find your center in your dance floor with your yin and your yang humming to the natural rhythm in harmony.